better turn that off before I get a copyright strike. 3 seconds, would that be allowed? Should be. Been listening to a bit of Stevie Wonder this morning. It's an August bank holiday. There is not a single cloud in the sky. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. Welcome back to Chelsea Fans React, a series where we take a bit more time after the full-time whistle. We mull over a few things. We think about what went well, what didn't go so well. But in Chelsea's case, it was a win against Norwich, and I've managed to come up with a few polls today that I'm going to address in this video, talking to you guys about what we thought from the game, what the man of the match was, and a couple of other questions as well that I think are quite important to look at as the matches now are coming in thick and fast. We've got Sheffield United next week, then we've got an international break, so it's not really coming thick and fast at all, is it really? It's kind of just like, you get straight back into it and then international break. Normally, I'm not looking forward to international breaks, but since the World Cup and since Gareth Southgate's England, I'm actually quite looking forward to it. And don't worry, there'll still be daily videos on the channel, so I know a few of you were going to ask that question. Thought I'd get it out and over and done with now. Yesterday's man of the match, and I put Tammy Abraham, Mateo Kovacic and Mason Mount, who I think were our top 3 players. You could also stick Emerson in there as well. A few people were outraged that Emerson wasn't one of the 6 things that I learned yesterday. I just think Emerson's been very good throughout the whole season. So if I put him in every single video, it gets a bit predictable, and just hold fire on that one because he might be coming up in the next poll if you can stay until there at least. Tammy Abraham, 62%, Kovacic 18%, Mason Mount 20%. When it comes to man of the match awards, it's very often the striker that gets the nod because, well, is mostly and normally the striker that scores the goals to win football matches. So I don't disagree with the answer. I think Tammy Abraham scoring his first Chelsea goal is a big thing in itself. Scoring the way he did with the quality of both of the finishes, and he scored twice. For me, it was a no-brainer that Tammy Abraham was the man of the match. He was my man of the match too, and 62% of people agreed. Let's move into poll number 2 about Emerson. Do we still need to spend 50 or 60 million on a new world-class left-back with Emerson's current performances? 31% of people said yes, 69% of people said no. I think a lot of the people that would have said no, and I might be wrong with this, could be basing their answer off of the fact that Emerson has performed very well at the beginning of this season. However, if we look back to his performances towards the end of last season, where he started to get the nod over Marcus Alonso, and you could also say in pre-season as well, Emerson's been performing at a very high level for Chelsea now for quite some time, and I don't just think it's a phase of good form that Emerson is performing so well right now. I genuinely think that what he brings to this team over, if we look back at Marcus Alonso when we were playing with the wing-backs under Antonio Conte, when Marcus Alonso was at his best for us, I think that what Emerson brings to this team is very similar to that, but he also brings a much more rounded game with less mistakes. So for me, I would have answered no within this poll. I think Emerson is doing more than enough right now in order to justify his starting every week over Alonso. I think that's a given, and I also think he's probably been up there in the top 4 left-backs in the Premier League right now. There's Robertson, there's Mendy, there's Digne, there's Chilwell. Other than that, I don't think anyone else is in the same conversation as Emerson. Let's consider that we've got 50 to 60 million saved in the bank because Emerson's coming in to do a job. Do we still need to spend 50 to 100 million on another world-class goal scorer? If yes, please reveal your reasons why with a reply to this tweet. So 72% of people said that yes, we do need to spend another 50 to 100 million to get another world-class striker in. 28% said no. And I think being realistic, we can't just completely be reactionary and act off of the impulse of seeing Tammy Abraham score 2 goals in an away game against Norwich. I don't think that it gives us a definitive answer as to whether or not Tammy Abraham is ready to score 20 plus Premier League goals a season. It's one game, and in order for the answer to this poll to change and to go more in favour of no, saying we've actually got good enough strikers at the club, Tammy needs to be doing this, or whether it's Giroud or Michy Batshuayi, the strikers need to be doing this week in, week out on a consistent basis, firing us up the table. 12th place isn't going to cut it for Chelsea, and at this rate, if it carries on the way we've seen, we will probably need to spend money on another striker. However, I for one believe that given time and given effort and given nurturing into this Chelsea system, given nurturing into the striker's number 9 role at Chelsea, I do firmly believe that Tammy Abraham could become a world-class goal scorer. If we look at his career statistics, he's already got 60 plus senior goals, and he's younger than me, and I'm 25 years old, and I'm not exactly old, or maybe I am. That's up for debate, but so this is obviously something that is well and truly up for debate. Our strikers just scored 2, yet 72% of people still believe that we should go out and buy someone else. So of course, I want to know the reasons why behind this. And Angry Rant Man, who, if you don't know who this guy is, you should definitely go and check him out. His videos are brilliant, they're hilarious. He says, yes, obviously for big games, just realised halfway through my video that my collar is Scruffy McGavin, but that other man cannot lead our attack line in coming seasons. And then in classic Angry Rant Man style, we've got numerous exclamation marks to emphasise the point. Obviously for big games. So from what I can understand here, he doesn't believe that Tammy Abraham's going to be good enough in the big games. We played 2 big games so far this season. Man United, where he hit the post and that was about it, and then Liverpool, where he didn't feature until later on in the match. So I could agree with that point. However, that other man cannot lead our attack line in coming seasons. I'm not entirely sure, buddy, which one you're referring to, whether it's Mishi or Giroud. So Tom HS 1905 says, we need competition for striker. I thought we've already got competition for striker. We've got Michy Batshuayi, who's itching to play, and Olivier Giroud, who's won World Cups and has scored 11 goals in European competitions for us last season, but okay. There is no competition with Tammy at the moment. I disagree with this one, unfortunately. I think that people are writing off Michy Batshuayi, and yes, I know, I've said it a flipping million times, yes, I've got a bit of bias. So sour. The fact that you're saying there's no competition, I can't agree with that. Then we got a response from Igor. Honestly, it's making my eyes water. That is the most sour blackberry ever. I would say spend the money on a world-class defender. Our defence is where we struggle. We can score goals, but we are leaking way too many. A defender like Koulibaly would improve us immensely, and I trust Tammy to deliver up front in the next couple of years. I think at the moment, people are sat on the fence as to whether or not we think Tammy is a long-term replacement for Didier Drogba. I think that's obviously what we're looking at. We've had Diego Costa. 3 years isn't really long-term. As great as he was, and I would argue that the impact he had at the time he had at the club is almost comparable to that of Didier Drogba with what you think that Costa did in terms of his goal contributions. But not only that, it's everything else he brought to the team. It was a tenacious, aggressive team, and it enabled Chelsea to bully teams. Can Tammy Abraham do that? Still up for discussion. Nathan says, we don't currently have a consistently world-class striker. Tammy has potential, but it will take time, and competition isn't the worst thing. Also, most top teams have 2 world-class strikers, so even if Tammy becomes world-class, we still need another, in my opinion. That is a valid opinion. Every opinion is valid, by the way. And the whole reason I do this series is because I want you guys to get involved. So don't feel like anything is off limits and I don't want to talk about it. Hammerboy08, I'm guessing he's a West Ham fan. Not so sure you could get a world-class striker for that. I kind of understand this, to be honest, because there's some stupid numbers going around in football these days. And the bad thing is that when clubs are selling to Premier League teams, because all of the selling clubs in Europe kind of know what the money's like in the Premier League, it seems as though the price becomes even more premium when a Premier League club is coming in. Nothing wrong with coaching a promising young player to become perhaps world-class. I think this is a very well-rounded opinion from Hammerboy08. I think there are definitely limitations to buying world-class strikers when it comes to the price that you've got to pay in order to get one off another club's hands these days. And as well as that, Tammy Abraham obviously has got bucket loads of potential, and we've not had to spend a penny on him, so we've definitely got to try and nurture him into that kind of tier. Tammy is too young to be solely relied on. I get that, but we do have Giroud and Batshuayi. We need world-class, we need options, we quality, we need competition. That was a very determined comment there from Big SARS. Tammy is still very young, and in my opinion, he needs time. I agree. Bring in another goal scorer and play 2 up front and wait for Tammy to grow into the perfect striker. On the other hand, if Tammy keeps playing the way he did against Norwich, we might be alright. I guess when we're talking about a striker who scored 2 goals in 1 game and then hasn't scored for our club before that, we don't really know what's going to happen. So obviously we've got a transfer ban in January. There is a possibility that that might be overturned, and therefore we may be able to spend money in January, although Chelsea don't really like to spend money in January apart from when we bought Fernando Torres. So, I don't know. I think it all depends on what happens between September through to December. If Tammy Abraham is sat there with 15 goals come December, I mean, I'm talking hypothetically here. I don't think it's going to be that case. I think he might have 8 or 9 potentially. But if he is sat there with 15 goals, I don't expect Chelsea to spend 100 mil on a striker, or even try to. So looking through some of the rest of the responses to this, there are a lot of people, again, being quite rational about it, saying Tammy's obviously very young, and we want to give him time, we want him to grow into the perfect striker, as Tobias Eckroth has said here. If Tammy gets 18 to 20 goals a season, this is from John Winston, I would say no. And again, I think this is why it's so great that we've got that transfer ban. If we're looking at trying to bring positives to a negative situation, and I said this a lot throughout the summer, we are now finally being able to see these young players. That, I believe, is one of the biggest reasons, of course with Frank Lampard as well, but it's one of the biggest reasons why there is such a feel-good factor at Chelsea, because there aren't new 70, 80 million pound men that we can blame. We've got Christian Pulisic who's come in as well, who's also very young, and the fans are also on board with giving him time to settle into life in England, settle into life in this Chelsea team and in the Premier League. So I definitely feel as though this is a very good time for Chelsea because we've got so many of these good young players coming through and we've not been able to sign anyone. So let's move away from the discussion about Tammy Abraham and the striker. I think after his 2 goals against Norwich, he's probably put himself straight in line for a starting place against Sheffield United as well. So at the moment, we're not sitting here week on week thinking, who's the striker going to be this weekend? I think Tammy's pretty much walked himself into that role now. So Wayne has come out and said, behave yourself, George. All right, pal. That was great this time. 4th to 6th would be a great achievement. Nowhere near top 4 this season. It's a bloody transition season. I can kind of imagine him saying this by like getting his cup of coffee, having the last sip and slamming it on the desk and realising there's actually still some in there and he spills it on his keyboard. Enjoy it for what it is. Well, I'm certainly enjoying it for what it is. I have been a massive advocate for the positive energy around Chelsea right now, and I've been transmitting that through my videos, I think. But saying that we're going to be nowhere near the top 4, I also put this tweet out yesterday as well, where everyone was laughing at Chelsea when we were beaten 4-0 by Manchester United, although 2 weeks later, we're level on points with Spurs, we're level on points with United, we're just 2 points behind Arsenal, who have then got Tottenham next week, and if we beat Sheffield United, we could also be ahead of Arsenal in the table. So it's kind of one of those where I think at the moment it's very easy to write Chelsea off because Man City and Liverpool are clearly above everybody else and everyone is still looking at Frank as this inexperienced manager and we struggled to get past Norwich and all of this stuff. But football is based off of points and where you finish in the table is based off of how many points you get. No one thought we were going to be any good last season. We still finished ahead of Spurs. We still finished ahead of Arsenal and Man United and we came 3rd. So writing Chelsea off at this point I think is a little bit crazy. This absolutely made my weekend from Kevin Kelly. There's been a lot of things that made my weekend. For example, Newcastle winning at Spurs, Palace winning at United, Chelsea winning at Norwich, the bloody weather and the collection of blimmin' berries I've got in front of me right now. Everything's good. Not a Chelsea fan. Fair enough. But I do love this series and it is starting to turn me into a Chelsea fan. Kevin, that is cool. That actually really makes me happy. I mean, I don't want to start trying to convert people, but if it happens without me trying to, then everyone's a winner. So we're going to finish this video today by talking about emotions in football. And Richard Grace has commented on my video saying, it's freaking newly promoted Norwich. Ellipsis. Everyone acting like they just beat Arsenal or Man City or Liverpool. Head in hands, laughing face. Well, Richard, let me tell you something. The victory against Norwich is such a great reason to be happy, to be ecstatic, to be elated as a Chelsea fan. The reason is everything has just come together in the most perfect way. Youth players, Frank Lampard, the fans, the singing, everything. I've never experienced an away atmosphere as good as the one against Norwich for, like you say, just the game against Norwich. I mean, the fact of the matter is, this could be helping Chelsea in so many ways this season. Having so much support, the away fans against Norwich were absolutely incredible, and I think we've all got good reason to be happy. I'm starting to sweat in here again now, it's bloody hot. And when it comes to emotions in football, I don't know about you guys, and I'm sure there are plenty of you who are the same as me. If Chelsea lose, it affects my mood, not just about football, but it affects my mood with work. It affects my mood with how I treat other people because of the result of the game. So getting our first win of the season is more than enough reason for me to be sat here bouncing on my already broken chair, drinking copious amounts of coffee and eating flipping blackberries. I am excited about this Chelsea team, and seeing the win against Norwich and the manner in which we did it. Yes, we weren't perfect. We conceded 2 goals and could have conceded more thanks to a shaky defence, but Tammy Abraham and Mason Mount scored. That is more than enough reason for us all to be here extremely excited. There's also giant jellyfish. I mean, flipping heck, I'm sitting here reacting to a giant jellyfish on a bank holiday Monday. What has my life become? Mate, you beat Norwich. I know, we won. Fantastic. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter if it's Norwich or Manchester City. This season, the George Benson Football Channel will be your home for Chelsea optimism. I've said to myself, I'm giving Frank all season, even next season if it needs to, because this is a transitional period for our football club, and every single single win is going to be celebrated just as if it was against one of the big teams where we've been competing for titles in the past, and winning away at Man City has been that result to kickstart us for the title. If a win at Norwich is the start of a good run of form which can see us challenging for the top 4 this season, then I'm over the moon. But anyway, that brings an end to this video. It's been a fun one. Chelsea fans react. If you don't follow me on Twitter, be sure to do so. The link is in the description. Go and check it out. And if you haven't seen the rest of my videos from Norwich, it almost looks like it's a Norwich channel right now because the Norwich badge is in all my flipping thumbnails. So we can move away from Norwich. I've got a Champions League kit review coming out tomorrow with Tilda, which you guys seem to love. We got the Champions League draw this week and then Sheffield United this weekend before an international break. So there's definitely going to be a bit more balance with still Chelsea related videos, but a few other topics coming in here and there over the course of the next couple of weeks. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. And as always, the conversation continues in the comments down below. Thank you for all the support, almost at 40,000. If you're not yet subscribed, click the button and click the bell notification as well so that you get notified whenever I post a goddamn video. Catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.